The Siege of Boston, a Historical Humans production. During the onset of the American Revolutionary War, tensions were at an all-time high amongst colonial Americans. Displeased with the high levels of taxation, attacks on civilians, and the remote governance of a king from thousands of miles away, revolutionaries declared independence. After the introduction of a new tea-related tax, the Sons of Liberty had entered Boston Harbor in disguise and dumped 342 chests of tea into the water, which cost an estimated $1.7 million worth of damage in today's dollar. British Commander-in-Chief of North America, Sir Thomas Gage, had received orders to take action against the Patriots and revolutionaries. His first plan was to destroy militia ordnance in Concord, Massachusetts. Along with that, he devised a plan to capture John Hancock and Samuel Adams. They were believed to be the instigators of the rebellion. However, all of this changed when Paul Revere had learned of the plan and notified the commander of the Concord militia. This is when Revere became notorious for his ride through the night to inform the Patriot leaders about the impending British reinforcements. The war officially broke out after the shot heard around the world, where a skirmish at Lexington preceded the battles of Lexington and Concord before the British withdrew to Boston. Lexington and Concord were important battles because it blocked the British troops from moving their troops via land to Boston. The siege began on April 19, 1775, when local militias blocked land access to Boston. On June 13, 1775, leaders of colonial forces learned that the British were planning on sending troops to the city to fortify the surrounding city, giving them control of the harbor. Colonel William Prescott commanded 1,200 colonial troops who then stealthily occupied and built fortifications on Bunker Hill and Breed's Hill in Boston's Charlestown neighborhood. The daybreak of June 17th, the British became aware of the forces on the peninsula and began attacking them. The Americans repelled the two British assaults to high British casualties. William Prescott is quoted for his order to his soldiers, "Do not fire until you see the white of their eyes," meaning the soldiers were both closer in distance and so the troops would conserve their limited ammunitions by firing only at close range. By the third attack, the defenders ran out of ammunition and fled, giving the British a decisive victory. But at what cost? The battle was a victory for them, but they incurred significantly more casualties than Americans, including the officers. It went to show that the militia forces were able to stand up to the professional trained soldiers. It even led the British to hire out and recruit Hessian German soldiers. They accounted for 30,000 of British troops, or around 25% of their land-based forces. By the end of the war, 17,000 returned home, 7,700 died, and around 5,000 had opted to settle in the United States after offers of religious freedom and home to a large German-American population enticed them to stay. By the end of the Battle of Bunker Hill, the British troops had over 1,000 casualties, while the militia had a casualty count of 450. The effect of the battle ended up influencing how the British conducted their actions in New York and New Jersey. The siege began after Colonel Henry Knox brought 60 tons of heavy artillery to Cambridge, Massachusetts by January 24, 1776. By the point of the British fleet sailing away, Americans rushed to reclaim the lost territories. The Americans also thought that some British troops had remained at Bunker Hill, although it turns out that they placed dummies at the location. After British General William Howe left, he commanded a number of small ships to intercept any British reinforcements and redirect them to Halifax. However, some ships did arrive in Boston and were taken by the Americans. Boston played a pivotal role in the American Revolutionary War, being home to the Boston Massacre, the Boston Tea Party, along with being the home of many of the Sons of Liberty and prominent American revolutionaries. The Siege of Boston shows both the American resiliency, but also to some degree the British arrogance. It helped shape how the rest of the war would unfurl and give the Americans quite a few points of encouragement. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe for more.